You're listening to DFZRadio.com.
Well, hey there, gentle listeners. This is your buddy, Herb the Wizard, and I'll be ready in just a minute. Just let me find it on the dial.
Whoa, I just dropped too much. Look, Horty, if I did this, you'd think Horty was taller than me.
You look like a midget.
Man, Dorfin. We got to bring Dorfin back.
I know, dude.
You're like, the plane. You know what we should do? We should have Grubby Cup Stash, Dorfin, and make a t-shirt of it. Because Grubby Cup would be hilarious, Dorfin.
It would look like a gnome.
His beard might go down to the floor. It would look like a gnome.
He'd look like a garden gnome.
It would be a grubby gnome. Grubby Cup.
Grubby Cup gnome.
Oh, my God. This is a new product.
We should make a Grubby Cup gnome to put in your garden.
We should.
That talks like with 15 different voices, like it says trippy shit.
We should make it in his likeness and not give him any money for the sales.
Right.
Well, there we go. This is it. Get ready. We're going to start the show. Hey there, everybody. This is your boy, Herb the Wizard. And welcome to this, our 53rd episode of the Grubby Cup Show. And now it's time to listen to a little bit of the wonderful and delightful Kelly Erickson, currently playing with Teaser.
We got some seeds to grow, he'll keep you in the know. Variety to claim, so baby, what's his name? He's a man to know. He'll make your garden grow. Grubby Cup's his name. He's the man who'll make a change.
Hello there, gentle listeners. This is your roving bard, Leaf Malone, reporting on the Grow with Grubby Cup show, brought to you by DFZ Radio at DFZRadio.com. And here they are, the buds of the circle table. Oh, see, it is I, Sancho Panza. Good evening. Alfred the Dungeon Keeper. Hi there, friends. This is the Irreverent Joe, and I'm Herb the Wizard. Psst, it's me, Vinny the Viper. The Sheriff of Rotting Puck. And I am your host, the Green Knight, Grubby Cup Stash. Thank you for joining us here on the Grow with Grubby Cup show. Hello there, Mr. and Mrs. Jenna Reader and all the ships at sea. Now it's time for... The Grubby Cup is a portion of our program where we take questions from you, the general listeners, and read them here on air. Please keep in mind that plant that shall not be named shall continue not to be named, so please don't include it in your letters. Oh, Senor Grubby Cup, Senor Grubby, I have a letter for you. All right, Sancho, what's the letter say? The letter, she said, Dear Grubby Cup, how are you making out with the Dewey, Mr. Cloner? As regular gentle listeners may know from last week, we've set up a little Dewey Mr. Cloner in the Alfred's garden. And it's going well. The Dewey Mr. Cloner, it's really simple. It's a bucket type container with a specially fitted lid, and the lid's pretty cool. It's got a little section so that you can run your air line down to your Dewey mister in, so you don't have to cut a hole in the bucket. And the little inserts that hold the plant, instead of being made out of neoprene, they're made out of a food grade rubber, which makes it nice because then you don't have to worry about the roots growing into the neoprene, and they clean up easier. I'll keep you posted on how they hold up over time.
Oh, see, it is very nice.
Now, I do have one caveat. In La Mancha, the humidity is pretty low, and I went ahead and added a second Dewey mister to the bucket, and that seemed to be a fairly substantial improvement. Now, there are a lot of folks, particularly in places that are a little more humid, they'd get by fine with one. Like I said, La Mancha is a bit on the dry side, and adding a second one really seemed to give it a nice little boost. Now, that being said, the Dewey Mister the Dewey Mister cloner, I think retails for $60-ish, and even if you tag on an additional Dewey Mister to that, it really, in my opinion, is still an improvement over some of the more expensive alternatives in the market. One of the things that I really like about it is that at no point does the nutrient solution have to go through a small sprayer or something else that'll tend to get clogged. The smallest hole is still pretty fair sized, and especially if you want to run organics or something through it, it's way lower maintenance. At least it has been so far, than some of the more complicated, cloners on the market. And one thing that I really like about it is that it's an air driven, uses an airlift pump type thing to lift the water, which means it's run by an air pump, which is sitting outside the unit, and it's not being driven by a water pump that's sitting in the water, which can give heat issues.
Oh, see, if the blends they get too hot, then they'll not be happy. And we want the blends to be very happy.
That's right, Sancho. And it's going well. The tomato cuttings have sprouted roots. The catnip cutting is sprouted roots. There's a couple other cuttings in it that haven't thrown roots yet, but they normally take a week or better to throw roots, so I'll just keep an eye on them. They look healthy and fine. And overall, I will have to say that right at the moment, the Dewey Mister cloner is my favorite little cloner gizmo. It's pretty much what I want in a cloner. And at $60, even the cost of an additional Dewey Mister and a little 15-cent airline tee so that you can split it, it makes a nice little critter. I'm pleased with it, and I'm happy with it, and I look forward to continuing to use it in my personal garden and in Alfred's garden and all that good stuff.
Oh, see, Grubby likes it.
All right, Sancho, what's the letter say?
The letter, she reads, Dear Grubby Cup, what do you think of the product? Big Bubba Bob's Botanical Bloom.
Other than it's available at Big Bubba Bob's Bait Shack, brought to you by Big Bubba Bob's brother Buford.
Well, yes, I would assume so.
Well, whenever you're dealing with some hypothetical product like this, what you want to do is take a look at what need this product is going to fulfill for your plant and why it is that you're adding it.
Well, yeah, Grubby Cup, because, I used to just pick by the prettiest bottle, and then I realized that I could get my own glitter and my own glue, and I could make whatever bottle I wanted be really pretty all by myself, and I didn't need to, just go by that. I could go by what's actually inside the bottle.
That's right, Herb. You're much better off going by the NPK and the guaranteed analysis and the ingredient list than pretty much anything else that's on the bottle.
Well, except maybe the directions there, Grubby Cup, because if you don't get the measurements right and all that, it doesn't matter what you use. If you don't use it right, things probably aren't going to work out very well.
And the directions, fair enough. You got a good point there, Herb. Now, one of the first things you want to take a look at with our hypothetical bloom product is we want to determine whether it's intended to be a base nutrient or if it's intended to be used as a bloom boosting additive type thing. By taking a look at the NPK value on the bottle, we can see that this one has a little bit of nitrogen in it, and then it has a fair amount of phosphorus and potassium. And by reading the bottle, we can determine that this is intended to be used as a base nutrient during the bloom cycle. If it only had phosphorus and potassium, then not necessarily, but chances would be better that it would be some sort of intended for a bloom boosting to give a little phosphorus and potassium boost during flowering. But the names of products can be, deceiving. So what you really want to do is take a look at your NPK values, take a look at the ingredient list, tell as well as you can what's in the bottle, and figure out what it is, what need it is that this is going to fulfill in your plants. And if it's not going to fulfill a need, or if that need is being covered in other ways, then, you can make an educated decision as to whether or not it's bringing something useful to the table.
Well, gee whiz, Grubby Cup, are nutrients the only thing that people add to plants?
Not at all. There are other products that are out on the market that are useful to plants that have little to no NPK or nutritional value. But what they can do is they often help the plants in other ways. So you can have things like, humic acids and that, which help with nutrient uptake. You can inoculate with mycorrhizal fungi or beneficial bacteria. There are a variety of other additives that you can use. But again, you want to take a look at the ingredients in the bottle and find out what it is that you're adding and have a justification for why you're adding it.
Oh, I get it, Grubby. Kind of like putting gold in magical potions, because usually gold doesn't do anything in magical potions. It's just something expensive to put in there.
That's right. So if there's a product that you use, I heartily encourage you to find out what it is that product does and why you're using it.
Well, that makes sense, Grubby Cup. Hey, if somebody was curious about, what the different stuff does and why you use it, is there an easy place they can find that out?
Well, there's a whole chapter to it devoted in Grubby Cup's Garden Notes, which is available on Amazon and in fine hydroponic stores nationwide. Or the information's available in many other fine books or other resources. Education really does help a gardener.
Yeah, I see what you did there where you worked in the plug for your book, but I guess that's all right. You haven't plugged your book in a couple shows, so all right, we'll let that one go.
And now for a few words from our sponsors. The Grow with Grubby Cup show is brought to you in part by...
Does your garden need protection?
Hey, Dr. Duffman here. Everybody knows your plant and your gardens get lonely. That's why I got the Grubby Cup Garden Gnome. It says 15 different creepy things in your garden that are actually garden for, for the garden, but they're creepy. So go ahead and put it in your garden and make your plants not lonely. Because Grubby Cup, not only does it say stuff, it makes bad odor in there too, so that it hides any kind of odor that you may have in your garden. It's an odor control garden gnome that says creepy things.
Carbon-based.
It's carbon-based. It leaves a footprint.
Odors.
It's awesome.
It's like Mitch's Hula Perfect Planters has got nanotechnology on it.
Its nose drips Ona gel.
Aliens use
to keep your room smelling like Ona.
I think that would be the Horty Chris gnome that has a drippy nose.
This is the craziest gnome around. Break
cut it
yourself
out.
in.
You're listening to the Grow with Grubby Cup show. I'm your host, Grubby Cup Stash. You're listening to us on dfzradio.com.
Your garden's looking far out. You must listen to dfzradio.com.
Hi, and welcome to Non-Specific Hydro.
Yeah, hey, I have a buddy of mine that was telling me about a great additive.
Okay, do you remember the name?
Yeah, his name's Steve. He's a good buddy.
No, the product.
No, he told me it was a super concentrated organic enhancer. Comes in a yellow bottle.
Well, it sounds like he's talking about Floralicious Plus from General Hydroponics.
I don't think that was the name, but he also told me it was a vegan bioplant stimulator that contained vitamins, plant sugars, amino acids, seaweed extract.
Yeah, that would be General Hydroponics Floralicious Plus.
I don't think that's it, man. He told me it was something like Dora Vicious Flush or something, and he said it was like an organic supplement that could also be used in vegging or flowering, and that was compatible with hydro soil and cocoa.
Yes, that would be General Hydroponics Floralicious Plus.
Oh, hey, man, I just remembered what it's called. It's Floralicious Plus.
Oh, good. I was drawing a blank.
Floralicious Plus from General Hydroponics. Ask for it by name.
The growing revolution is here.
dfzradio.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Grow with Grubby Cup show. I'm your host, Grubby Cup Stash. You're listening to us on the DFZ Radio Network at dfzradio.com. Hello, gentle listeners and all the ships at sea. This is your wandering bard, Leaf Malone. And now it's time for... The Buds of the Circle Table. This week's special guest is Heavy T himself.
Let's bring the one, the only, the myth, the man, the legend, Grubby Cup Stash, host of Growing with Grubby Cup on DFZ Radio. What's up, Grubby?
Hey, guys. Before I forget, you were talking a little bit about doing a brace or for a snap branch.
Right.
One thing that I found that's really helpful with that, too, with small or medium size, is you just take a drinking straw, cut off a section of it, and split it down one side.
Boom. See, I told you, Horty, those straws are meant for drinking.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Those aren't like, yeah.
That's a great tidbit, Grubby. Now, Grubby, let the listeners know, like, you are not just a fly-by-the-night DFC radio host. You are a well-accomplished writer, gardener, and just a man of multiple talents up in Northern California. Tell us a little bit about your history of gardening.
He's a legend.
Well, it's one of those. I actually grew up on a dairy farm, so I've been around plants all my life.
Nice.
And then at one point, I ran into a plant I had a particular affinity for, and that's how that went.
Yes, it was a very nice consumable plant, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I still do, I have a fondness for like black creme tomatoes and Peter peppers, and so, I also do my own vegetable garden in that.
Well, and, you also, like you said, your gardening knowledge spans several different plant species, and on the writing level, you are a great writer for Maximum Yield, for several different other publications, but you also help write specific grow books for our friends like Ed Rosenthal through at Zero Tolerance, George Van Patten, all those, right? These guys are friends of yours.
Yeah, and for instance, there's a Sunlight is coming out with a new little greenhouse product.
Right.
Little cloning bit, and I wrote their instruction booklet for it.
Nice. So you are well accomplished through the last couple of decades.
Of course, my book, Grubby Cup's Garden Notes.
Of course.
Boom.
Of course, your book, Grubby. Of course. But, Grubby...
a High Times bestseller. New York Times bestseller.
Your show is completely fascinating on Tuesdays, dude. It's not like any other growing show. It's not like any other show on DFZ radio or that I've come across on any radio station, internet, or mainstream terrestrials, satellite. You do some things that are pretty freaking unique. What, in a short statement, what is growing with Grubby Cup?
Well, it's sort of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood meets Laugh-In with a bit of surrealism. It takes place in the Castle La Mancha, and there are a variety of characters that basically keep it from just being me blabbing on for an hour.
Or me for 4 hours, how we do over here. But it's live every Tuesday at 6 o'clock, so you can tune in, listeners. Actually, he records it from his house or his studio up there in NorCal, and we stream it live here at 6 o'clock on DFC Radio every Tuesday. So if you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. It's not just a comical bit, though. You take your gardening knowledge and you melt it together with these characters.
What I try to do is not everybody is interested in the chemistry and in the, some of the higher level plant science type activities, but they still need and have a use for that information. So what I try to do is take a difficult concept like Mendelian genetics, which is usually taught with a bunch of, n-1 to the second power type stuff, and show how you can illustrate that using the red and black cards, out of a deck of playing cards. And so that way it makes it much more appropriate or much more approachable without all the math that goes along with it.
Yeah, it's like putting everything into layman's terms.
Yeah.
Which is what we try to do around here as well, because if they were on that scientific level, they probably wouldn't call the show.
Right, and it's one of those. The information is still very valuable, where understanding how traits will appear and disappear and that sort of thing, illustrated with the playing cards, is something everybody can get their head around, and it doesn't take wading through textbooks and the more traditional methods of getting at that information.
And but. Like you said, the way that your show is presented is almost in a story format. You're telling a story and then adding in the grow information, the grow knowledge that's in your big brain. Grubby's one of those guys, Horty, to me, that has probably forgotten more about gardening than most people in the hydroponic industry will ever know.
Well, again, just listening to a continuous lecture, your attention will naturally start to wander, and that's boring.
Right.
So I try to intersperse, gardening information and some, other basic useful information.
For the listeners that haven't heard your show, give an idea. Like, will one show be around a topic, like a singular topic, like cloning or blooming or something, and then you'll take a story through with each character? Tell us how the show evolves so listeners know what they're going to be listening to on Tuesdays.
Oh, wait, hang on. Sancho, give me the phone. Holy guys, Sancho Banzai. And I have a question for my cousin Nacho.
What's your question?
What's your question?
I want to know, first, thank you for the love and creation. It was thoughtful of you. But why did you send me a piñata full of the beaver anal glands? That is disgusting.
Why did you send him a piñata full of beaver anal glands?
It's flavor. Flavor, amigo. Try it.
Put it in your soup.
You gotta drink it down with the tequila. Don't be a bitch. I put tequila bottles in there.
Yeah, I think next time we get together, you just bring tequila. You leave the food at home.
Whatever. You're just a prude, bitch. I'm gonna have my way with you when I get there.
He goes to personal attacks as soon as he gets outwitted.
I'm gonna have my way with you when I get there.
Hey,
but yeah,
that's one character on your show, right?
And kind of do their spin on whatever the topic is.
Now you have a specific character that I crack up at. It's the big dude in the dungeon. What's that dude's name?
Alfred.
Alfred, and he lives in the dungeon.
Yeah. Alfred lives in the dungeon. He's a little on the psychopathic side.
So I want to know: are all these characters that you bring up, are they part of the Grubby Cup psychology? Are they all little parts of yourself, or are they completely just made up out of thin air?
Oh no. They're all, everybody's got a little twisted in them. Everybody's got a little goody two shoe in them. Everybody's a little goofy. So yeah, no, it's probably more a mental health, multiple personality type issue than.
That's all right.
That's what's growing on with Grubby Cup every Tuesday, 6 o'clock, right here on DMZ.
Hey, when it comes to
clean the plants, and you take a sharp, clean instrument and you slice the flesh.
Oh my God, Grubby, you're creeping me out now.
Grubby just nutted on himself.
Oh my gosh, I just felt like acid flashbacks right there.
Man, I don't know if I should hang up.
Oh no, don't you hang up. You just stay tuned after a few words from our sponsors.
This program is brought to you in part by
Grubby Cup's Garden Gnome shirts. Yeah, they said it. I'm going to try to guilt them into doing a couple of Grubby Cup's Garden Gnome shirts. Head on over to the Heavy Tea Show and harass them about it. They said it. I don't think we should hold them to it. You're listening to the Grow with Grubby Cup show. I'm your host, Grubby Cup Stash. You're listening to us on dfzradio.com.
You're listening to dfzradio.com.
Hey, bro. brah. Have you seen the new kind nutrient from Botanicare? It's kind of a big thing.
No. What's up with that?
Well, I was totally pulling a dawn patrol, chilling with some honeys, when this troll is like, yo, I heard your garden is total weak sauce. And I was like, as if my garden is hella gnarly bodacious. And then he was like, brah, if you want your stuff to be like Mondo Narnar, you need to hook up with Botanicare's kind nutrients.
Okay, would you be so kind as to tell me what you're talking about?
Only the most bitchin' nutrients to shred a grow since the invention of water, bruh. Kind is on the serious, bruh. There's 1 part base, 1 part grow, and 1 part bloom. Kind is super rad because it's completely customizable so you can use with any type of plant and medium, bruh. And what's wicked, boss, is that the proprietary kind formulas eliminate the need to add separate calcium and magnesium supplements to compensate for water quality or specific grow medium.
Rad. That sounds like my kind of base nutrient.
Totally. And Kind Grow has all these primo minerals and like super top secret blend of natural stuff so you can get a seriously lush canopy, right? And with the Kind Bloom, you get like this major hookup of phosphorus and potassium, but like in a totally righteous proportion so you get increased biomass and flower initiation. And what's even more awesome is you can adjust the levels of base, grow, and bloom to meet the needs of your medium, plants, and growth stage. You could say it's for any kind you grow. It's totally sweet.
It was very kind of you to tell me about this. So I should, totally hop in my Woody and cruise down to my local hydro hookup and score some kind nutrients from Botanicare?
Like what? New from Botanicare. Kind base, grow, and bloom. The fully customizable line of nutrients developed for the modern grower. For more information, contact your local hydro store or go online to botanicare.com.
What kind will you grow?
Your garden's looking far out. You must listen to dfzradio.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Grow with Grubby Cup show. I'm your host, Grubby Cup Stash, and you're listening to us on dfzradio.com.
And now it's time for a Buzz of the Circle Table.
Hey, what is Grubby Cup's prediction for 2015 in the hydro industry? I've seen some publications coming out. We talked to Jason, the Grow Boss, with his publication. He had some ideas of what's going on with the hydro industry, about contraction, about where it's going in 2015. I didn't agree with everything he was saying. I was saying, I see a lot of expansion, a lot of profitability, even brighter times than what we've seen in the last couple years. You've been around for a long time, Grubby. I want to get your take. 2015 predictions for the hydro industry.
Well, what I think that we're seeing right now in the industry is kind of the tail end of the strong Indian tribes sort of thing.
Right.
Because right now there's a lot of infighting in the industry. There's a lot of backbiting, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And, the white man's curse is coming. As things get safer for corporate to move into the arena, corporate's going to attempt to move into the arena. And bickering inside the industry, it is pretty much, the guy standing the fight next to you is probably the least of your worries. It's the cavalry coming over the edge with just, a phenomenal amount of backing.
Yeah. So you believe that unless the hydro industry can organize and get their resources together to maintain their market shares, and as things go more mainstream, they're going to be the Home Depots, the Monsantos.
Right, 'cause then you're going to have like Walmart buying directly from manufacturers.
Yeah, well, purchasing power. Someone could buy $500,000 of stuff off GetGo and put it in there and put it in 400 of their 5,000 stores nationwide.
Hopefully, when Walmart comes knocking on my door, they want to buy like at least $10 million worth, right off the jump street.
Grubby,
right.
To that note, though,
I'm not saying that that's a bad business plan. I'm just saying that I think you're going to see more business plans with that as the end game.
Yeah. Let me ask you, to that note, what you're talking about, don't you think, though, the grow information, the grow knowledge that you receive from a smaller boutique store compared to a Walmart, Home Depot style store, that they're able to guide you to be more successful? And that's what a lot of growers are looking at. I think a lot of people equate growing certain consumables that are now available freely in the free state of Washington and Colorado and Oregon and Alaska coming up. But
right, but that's why I think it's
like
absolutely
brewing.
critical to have good staff in a hydroponic store, because
Knowledgeable
that's an
staff.
edge. That's a fight you can win.
Yeah.
Right, because your big box stores, etc., by and large, their staff has nowhere near the training available to, say, a boutique shop.
And what about the thing I've seen in several private groups on Facebook, like the Hydro Tank, where people that have been in the industry a long time and stuff point towards the reluctantness of mainstream gardening advisors to give advice on growing certain legal crops now, like cannabis and so forth, that they're now moving into that. I still think that if these guys weren't growing a certain crop, it becomes a lot harder to advise correctly on growing something like that.
Right, but keep in mind, a lot of those cats operate on the whole risk versus reward thing.
Right.
And the less risk is involved, the less reward that they feel that they need to get out of it to make it worthwhile.
I agree. I agree on that. I look forward to hearing Grubby Cup this Tuesday. What's coming up on the new Grubby Cup episode next week?
We're going to try a few more interviews. Going to try to get out to a couple more hydro shops, that sort of thing, and more gardening hijinks.
Awesome. If you want to contact Grubby Cup, you can email him where?
grubbycup@gmail.com.
Nice. And if you looking to sponsor Grubby Cup Show or want to contact the network, you can go directly through dfcradio.com or contact AJ at dfcradio.com. Grubby Cup, I really love what you're doing. Listeners, you really have to hear an entire show. It's an experience. That's all I can say. It is the Grubby Cup experience. I think that's a new T-shirt Grubby Cup should come out with.
And I think that last Tuesday's show, which was a good show, should be available on the archive, if not today, very shortly.
Awesome. So check out all of the past podcasts from Growing with Grubby Cup right here on dfcradio.com.
Grubby.
And can I get an agreement that you can license your likeness for our Garden Gnome project?
Yeah, except I want to cut.
Hey,
Other than that, I'm all over it.
Dr. Duff will cut you. We'll get Saint to cut you good, real good.
Saint's cutting that part out of the show. All right. Hey, Grubby Cup, I appreciate you, man, and keep doing your thing. We'll be talking real soon.
Absolutely. Great talking to you guys, too.
All right.
Crazy
peace out.
how he just said we could use his stuff.
Oh, Signor Grubby Cup, Signor Grubby, I have a question for you.
What is it, Sancho?
Well, I was going to do a little bleach tie-dyeing, and I know you've said it before, but I have a question for you.
What is it, Sancho?
When you're doing the bleach tie-dyeing, what is the ratio of the bleach to the water?
Well, just so everyone knows what we're talking about, you can, in normal tie-dye, what you do is you take your T-shirt and you tie it in a spiral or any number of combinations, and then you apply dye to it. Well, you can also use bleach in a similar pattern, so that it's a very similar process, but instead of adding color, you're subtracting color or you're removing color. And the way that you do this is take your T-shirt, and a black or a very dark colored T-shirt works best, and you can either do it in a spiral, which is very popular, and to do that, just fold the shirt in half, and in the center of the chest, start twisting it around your fingertips until you make a disc with a spiral around it. Or you can do any number of things with rubber bands and that sort of thing to bunch and gather and use similar to tie-dye patterns with. And then what you do is you then soak that, or you expose it to a solution of 1 part bleach to 3 parts water. And you want to watch it carefully. And as the dye in the fabric, as the color starts to dissolve, then when it gets to the point that you're happy with, then rinse it in cold water to stop the process. And the removed, the where the bleach is removed, the dye will then be a pattern. And it can take a little bit of judgment when you're doing it, because after you've painted the solution of 1 part bleach to 3 parts water on the fabric, you want to watch it carefully, because if you rinse it off too soon, what'll happen is the pattern will be very faint. But if you leave it on too long, you can wind up damaging the fibers in the fabric. And so it's one of those, it's a bit of a risk. Don't do it with a t-shirt that you're really that attracted to, and make sure that it's a cotton t-shirt. Cotton dyed t-shirts work the best for this sort of thing. Be careful with it, because bleach is still bleach. Don't get it on your clothes where you don't want it bleached. Don't get it on your skin undiluted, that sort of thing. When you're going through it, wear gloves to protect yourself, and do it in a well-ventilated area so you don't inhale the bleach fumes. Take all normal safety precautions.
Oh, see, always make sure you are very safe.
For more detailed instructions and to see pictures in that, if you go to grubbycup.com and select the blog, from the menu, there's a blog post listed. If you need to search for it, you can do it under bleach tie-dye or under the fun tab up at the top of the menu.
Oh, see, I see. Thank you, Senor Grubby Cup.
The Grow with Grubby Cup show is brought to you by Enso Guitars in Hope Valley, Rhode Island. What he does. You couldn't ask for a better cat to be working on your next guitar or bass. Grow with Us Hydroponics. If you're in the Rhode Island, Warwick area and you need some hydroponic supplies, stop on by at Grow With Us Hydroponics. Tell them Grubby sent you. You're listening to the Grow with Grubby Cup show. I'm your host, Grubby Cup Stash. You're listening to us on dfzradio.com.
Hey, brah, have you seen the new kind nutrient from Botanicare? It's kind of a big thing.
No. What's up with that?
Well, I was totally pulling a dawn patrol, chilling with some honeys, when this troll is like, yo, I heard your garden is total weak sauce. And I was like, as if my garden is hella gnarly bodacious. And then he was like, brah, if you want your stuff to be like Mondo Narnar, you need to hook up with Botanicare's kind nutrients.
Okay, would you be so kind as to tell me what you're talking about?
Only the most bitchin' nutrients to shred a grow since the invention of water, bruh. Kind is on the serious, bruh. There's 1 part base, 1 part grow, and 1 part bloom. Kind is super rad because it's completely customizable, so you can use with any type of plant and medium, bruh. And what's wicked, boss, is that the proprietary kind formulas eliminate the need to add separate calcium and magnesium supplements to compensate for water quality or specific grow media.
Rad. That sounds like my kind of base nutrient.
Totally. And Kind Grow has all these primo minerals and like super top secret blend of natural stuff, so you can get a seriously lush canopy, right? And with the Kind Bloom, you get like this major hookup of phosphorus and potassium, but like in a totally righteous proportion, so you get increased biomass and flower initiation. And what's even more awesome is you can adjust the levels of base, grow, and bloom to meet the needs of your medium, plants, and growth stage. You could say it's for any kind you grow. It's totally sweet.
It was very kind of you to tell me about this. So I should, totally hop in my Woody and cruise down to my local hydro hookup and score some kind nutrients from Botanicare?
Like what? New from Botanicare. Kind Base, Grow, and Bloom. The fully customizable line of nutrients developed for the modern grower. For more information, contact your local hydro store or go online to botanicare.com.
What kind will you grow?
Your garden's looking far out. You must listen to dfzradio.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Grow with Grubby Cup show on DFZ Radio at dfzradio.com. And now, sit back and relax because it's time for this week's Moment of Meditation.
A few breathing exercises. And in with the good air. And out with the bad air. And in with the good air. And out with the bad air. Relax. Let your worries drift away for a few moments. And just concentrate on the here and now, just for a minute. In with the good air. And out with the bad air. Pay attention to how you feel. Collect yourself. And get ready to go on with the rest of the day. Well, hey there, Grubby Cup. How's the feline audience doing these days? Oh, hey, Herb. Well, we just harvested some catnip buds, and they're all pretty happy feline audience members. Well, that sounds cool, Grubby Cup, because some kitties, they really like catnip, and some kitties don't, but I have a feeling your feline audience likes catnip okay. Yeah, they really do, and catnip, being a member of the mint family, is very easy to grow. Well, gee whiz, Grubby, those are awful pretty. I think you should put a picture of those up on the Grow with Grubby Cup Facebook page. Well, I'll tell you what, Herb, I'll do that. Oh, see, Senor Grubby Cup takes very good care of his kitties. Why, thank you, Sancho. I try to anyway. Speaking of the pets... Speaking of the pets, how is your faithful steed Blaze doing these days? He's doing well, but he keeps cutting across the field and he's wearing a trail through it. Oh, see, Blaze is well known for going through the grass. Well, that wouldn't be so bad, but he cuts through the flower garden too, and he's in such a rush he knocks over some of the plants. Oh, see, Blaze goes through the flowers very fast. He knocked over the jar with the bacon grease, too. It fell on the floor and broke.
Oh, see, he shattered and oil went everywhere, even on the nail in the floor.
Yeah, that was quite the mess.
See, but more fun than you might think. Herb came by and helped.
Yeah, I bet he did.
Hey, Grubby Cup, what'd the apple say to the banana?
I don't know, Herb. What'd the apple say to the banana?
Well, gee whiz, Grubby, I don't know. That's why I asked you.
Ew, Grubby Cup.
You told me to remind you not to forget to remind me about shaking up my nutrients before I use them.
Yes, pretty much, unless on the bottle it specifically tells you not to. In general, you want to give your nutrients a little shake before you measure them out and add them to your nutrient solution.
I do so enjoy giving things a nice little shake now and then.
The reason for this is that the nutrient solutions themselves are not always stable as solutions, which is not necessarily a bad thing because you're going to want the nutrients back out of the water, but it can allow things that are supposed to be suspended in the liquid to precipitate out and gather at the bottom. And if you just give them a little shake, then that can help make sure that everything is stirred up inside, and it also helps keep the solution closer to what it says it is in the bottle. Because if things, start to separate, and that what you can wind up with are, a few capfuls that are weaker than usual and wind up with a more potent mixture at the bottom due to its settling. And that's not what you want, because then if you follow the instructions, you'll underfeed them at first and then overfeed them. And in general, just for consistency's sake in that, you're best off just, giving your bottles a little shake before you measure them out.
I see. So you just wrap your hands around the bottle, squeeze ever so gently so as not to allow it to escape, and give it a few quick shakes.
Yeah, Alfred, they're right. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Well, all right, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, today we're going to talk about arranging a wide palette on a snack tray.
As I, the sheriff of Ridingbook, stop in the name of the king.
Well, at least you waited until after the moment of meditation was over this time.
Well, to be honest with you, I've been running a little late all day.
So what brings you to the Castle La Mancha today?
Well, I wanted to show off the cool t-shirt I made using the instructions earlier in the program. Didn't it come out nice?
Why, yes, I think that came out very nice. It looks like you wet the fabric and then tied it into some interesting combination of shapes and twisted it around, and then soaked it in a mixture of 1 cup bleach to 3 cups of water until it started to change color, and then rinsed it out well with cold water and untied it and rinsed it out some more, and came up with a very nice little t-shirt.
Yes, I'm quite proud of it myself. And now I'm off to spread misery everywhere.
No, what were we talking about before he got here?
Snacks, Grubby. What kinds of snacks for a diverse palate?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, for instance, if you're setting out dishes for a safety meeting, then some things that you might want to consider are having opposites, whether or not they're actually opposites, but having a variety of flavors. So, for instance, something salty, something sweet, maybe something sour.
Ooh, that sounds good, Grubby, because I know sometimes when I'm at the safety meeting, in between the reading of the chemical worksheets and that, sometimes I like something real sweet, and then while I'm eating something sweet, I'm thinking to myself, ooh, you know what, something salty tastes good, and then I'll have something salty, and then while I'm having something salty, I'll go, ooh, you know what, something sweet sounds good, and then I'll want something sweet again. And, that really can make for a nice little variety. And besides, it gives you something to do besides just listen to them talk about all the safety rules at the safety meeting.
That's right. And another way you can introduce diversity is through a variety of textures. So you may have something creamy or something chewy or something crunchy. And again, that will give the foods a distinct mouthfeel to them. And again, that will add some variety to the offerings.
Well, that sounds good too, because sometimes I like things that are really crunchy, but then you sit there for too long going crunch, 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 crunch. And I don't know about you, but my little jaw gets tired, so sometimes it's nice to have a little variety. So sometimes it's crunchy and goes crunch, 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 crunch. And then the other time it's a little squishy or, that just feel different. And then if you really concentrate, you can think about how it feels in your mouth and how it tastes in your mouth, and you can feel and really get into the experience, and you'll baby.
That's right. And don't go too overboard. You do want to find flavors that complement each other. I wouldn't serve orange juice and chocolate cake together, for example.
I don't know, Grubby. I've seen you eat some pretty strange food combinations. I wouldn't put money on that one.
But maybe something like brownies and chili peanuts. Something where the flavors of one can be contrasted with flavors of another without causing too big of a train wreck.
Well, gee, Grubby, that's at least something to consider, I guess.
And whenever you're going to do something where there's a variety of flavors and that involved, you want to do very small taste size portions. That way folks can have a chance to try a little bit of everything without getting too overwhelmed or eating to excess.
Here's your safety tip, folks. Don't get in front of Grubby in your buffet line.
Hey.
Well, hi there. This is Herb the Wizard, and I just wanted to remind everybody that the Castle La Mancha is an entirely fictitious place. That means it doesn't really exist, and that the characters portrayed as the buds of the circle table, they're just made up too. So nobody should take anything all that seriously.
Hi there, friends. Hi there, each and every one of you. This is the Irreverend Job, and I'm here. I am here today. I am here today to tell you that I think the world would be a better place if there was a little more empathy and a little less greed. I think these days, empathy is underrated. And for those of you that are confused, for those of you that tend to sit way in the back, let me tell you that empathy is just trying to understand how someone else feels. Now you would think that since each and every one of us has feelings, that we could find it easy to understand that other people have feelings too. But I'm here to tell you, and I'm here to tell particularly those of you in the back, that sometimes people act like they don't understand that.
Sometimes people act like they don't understand that other human beings are humans too. This has been a serum from the Irreverend Job, and I want to remind each and every one of you that at each and every opportunity, try not to be an asshole.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Grubby Cup Stash, your host of the Grow with Grubby Cup show on DFZ Radio at dfzradio.com. Until next week, peace, love, and puka shells.
We got some seeds to grow. He'll keep you in the know. Variety to claim. So baby, what's his name? He's the man to know. He'll make your garden grow. Grubby Cup's his name. He's the man who make a change.
Listen to the whole song and you even listen to your theme song and everything. I want to say a special shout out there to John Wexler because he says that he listens to the whole show. And it's just like a little sneak peek over at home in Hydro. There's a little rumor that I might be making a little visit there coming up before too long. So keep posted, and if you're in the Rhode Island area, swing by at home in Hydro and tell them the Herb the Wizard said to stop by and say hi and ask about maybe there might be a little grubby class and a grubby visit coming up. So you can ask them about that too. Until next week, this is your boy, Herb the Wizard, saying bye-bye.
Your garden's looking far out. You must listen to dfzradio.com.